Since I started transitioning about 9 years ago, the way I relate to women, and people really, men too, is very different. I started socially transitioning when I was 20. I was in the middle of college. I was dating a woman at the time and had always felt like I wanted to be the male role, the male partner, the boyfriend, not the girlfriend. Because when I dated women before, we were seen as lesbians or whatever, because it was two female-bodied people dating. But I never felt like lesbian really described me, or I never really took it on as an identity. I said I was bi. I dated a guy a little bit in high school to kind of cover up. I went to this Catholic high school and I felt this pressure to be femme and normal. And I'm sure, well, I know a lot of people that didn't go to Catholic high school and didn't have to wear the skirt still felt that kind of pressure to be normal and femme and whatnot. But when I first started transitioning, I think because I wasn't yet physically where I am now, mentally, emotionally, I didn't have my parents' affirmation and support. I had friends and my girlfriend, but it was still a process. It was still trying to get people to think of me as male, and I worried about that a lot. Now I can walk through the world and not really question whether people are seeing me as male. But back then, it was definitely a more touchy subject and kind of more up in the air, going through that kind of puberty phase of T where, people don't know what gender you are. But when I first started transitioning, it was very important for me to be like the boyfriend and the male and have these defined, not roles, because I also like kind of breaking out of the roles, like being the boyfriend that cooks dinners, but being like, I was the boyfriend, you're the girlfriend. I modeled my masculinity a lot based on the people around me, and I went to a pretty conservative college in Florida. Definitely found, my more liberal group in the film studies program, but, in general, it was just not a very wide range of masculine representations. I was also dating straight women, so I wanted to be like the guys that they had dated before. I wanted to be seen as male just as my girlfriends had seen their past boyfriends or sex partners or whatever. So I'd really try to dress in a distinctly male way. I kind of dressed more preppy in the beginning of my transition, like wearing button-downs and khakis and kind of trying to make it clear that I'm a dude, this is how I'm dressing. Now I'm more casual. Like I said, when my gender identity is not in question, you can kind of wear whatever you want. But it was really important to me in the beginning, and not just in my relationships, like with women, like dating, like I'm the male, you're the female, but, with friends, I wanted to be seen as the guy friend to girls, with dudes, I just wanted to be one of the guys, and it was something I kind of really struggled with and put a lot of pressure on myself to be like other people. On the other hand, because I was so new to transition and, just a couple of years into college, so high school was still a fresh experience, and obviously I'd gone through high school as a female, so I knew, or I could understand a lot of experiences that women have that someone born male can't. Whether it's socially, like being treated like a piece of meat because you're a woman, by dudes. I remember being in a movie theater once, and these guys were just like, whistling at me and stuff, and I was like, ugh, can't they tell I don't like men, whatever. And then biologically, like, I have menstruated before. I know what that is like. So I can relate and understand and kind of be respectful of that experience in a way that someone born male can't. As I was saying, because it was such a new thing to me at first, like I had basically been female a lot longer than I had been living as male, I would often identify with women on certain things. I don't have any clear examples, but kind of like in guys versus girls type thing, I would feel a lot of the times more like in the women's camp, or more like, no, don't say that about women if it was some dude just saying something, like, because I had gone through that. And now that I've lived as male for, 9 years, I definitely don't feel kind of like I'm still in the women's camp anymore. Not that I felt by identifying with and sharing an experience that I felt or identified as female. I still have always identified as 100% male, even at that time when I could relate to women more. But it's slowly drifted, and I've had almost 10 years of life experience as a dude, and I feel more comfortable siding with men. Not siding with, not saying this is like a battle of sexes, but like with experience and things, if it comes to dating or just social stuff, because I've been a guy for 10 years and finished college and then went out to the world as a male, I can relate to men in ways that I can't relate to women now. I don't know what it's like to be a woman in the working world and how that must be frustrating to probably be paid less than what your male counterpart is making and whatnot. So I didn't enter the world after college professionally as a woman. So I can't relate there, and I didn't graduate college as a woman, and so I can't relate in a lot of ways. And also I feel the longer on T I am, even though I can definitely see both sides to different arguments or situations, I think I respond more like a male now, and I'm not maybe as sensitive, though I'm definitely sensitive, but not as sensitive as I used to be, and not as like, oh, you know, it's okay. It's more like, well, this happens, let's figure out a solution. It's not as like sing-songy, oh, everything will be okay. I'm more just like, you know, direct to the point, but I feel like I'm not as sweet, though I get told I'm sweet all the time, but I just feel like I don't think of the little things maybe as much as I did when I was dating women before, like, oh, bring her flowers, and, you know, do these little things. I've still gotten girls flowers as a guy. Just like little things that I think I would have thought of before. I've definitely moved away from identifying with women in that experience, you know, being in the women's camp, to kind of understanding men more and their experience and their roles in relationships and whatnot. And even the way I relate to men is different, because straight dudes see me as another straight dude often. I often get read as gay too, which is fine. Sometimes I just go with it, whatever. And I've also discovered that in terms of community, like being with gay males makes a lot more sense for me than like being with the lesbian community. There's always a lot of debate about whether trans men, if it's okay to occupy women's space, because, you know, it's hard for a lot of guys to give up their lesbian identity or lesbian community after they transition, which I can totally understand. But I don't think you have to give up your friends just when you transition. I don't know, you're making a decision to live as male, and that might be something you might have to give up. It might not be. But I said earlier in this vlog that I never really felt or identified as a lesbian, so perhaps that's why I never felt at home in the lesbian community. And gay men, we just, I don't know. Like I said in my last video or video before that, one of my more recent videos, I'm very much like a gay man. I share a lot of interests, you know, whether it's theater or cooking and whatnot, but I'm just not that sexually into men. Like, I definitely can be attracted to men and to their bodies, but sexually I'm like, I don't know what I do with a guy. And that's also not to say like straight men can't be into theater and cooking, but maybe it's just I'm more effeminate or flamboyant now that I'm read as male all the time, and I don't have to really worry if my actions are gendered or going to be perceived as female, because obviously no one perceives me as female anymore. So those are just some thoughts I wanted to share. Basically, that it's interesting over the course of these almost 10 years how I've kind of migrated from one end to the other, in terms of like really understanding women and their experience, to now like just feeling really at home and comfortable with being a guy. Still definitely being able to empathize with women more than someone born male could, but still at the same time I'm kind of feeling like, no, I'm over here, and sometimes what they think or say or whatnot is just foreign to me. And that's really interesting, because it's taken a long time, years, to kind of get to this point. But also, if I hear something sexist sometimes, or, you know, a guy doesn't know I was born female and says something raunchy or just chauvinistic, it still brings that kind of pain into my heart that's like, no, don't say that. And I definitely feel like I'm insulted too. So that's all I wanted to share. I'm trying to keep this short, keep very specific topics. Thank you for your feedback on the vlog about, you know, what should I make a video about. I'm definitely going to use some of those ideas. And also one thing I wanted to address, I got a comment from someone that said, you know, I don't understand why you're still vlogging. Isn't the point to like transition, move on with your life? And yeah, that is the point. But also it does affect you on a daily level, whether it's just peeing or having sex or having to wear your packer or use an STP, or if you just happen to think of it. I don't sit here and 24 hours a day think about being trans. In fact, I talked about wanting to participate in the YouTube community more by watching videos and commenting on other guys' stuff, but often it's very triggering for me, and I just can't do all that like one day. Like, there's maybe a couple days a week that I'm like, okay, I'm going to watch some videos and stuff, but I can't do it all the time. Being this far into transition, you know, I'm not vlogging about daily changes or monthly changes, but there are definitely a lot of social issues that I find relevant and that I think are good to talk about. And also, the reason I keep making these videos is I still get so many comments, so many emails, so many views on my old videos, and people are like, it's really great to see someone still vlogging. And I think when you're first starting to transition, and you know, you're so excited about T and surgery and all this stuff, it's really good and helpful to see someone later in their transition still alive and still just there, and they can see what it's going to be like. Of course, all of our transitions are different, but it just lets them see someone later on, and because at that time you don't realize, like, oh yeah, you get on testosterone and stuff, and after a while you're just a dude. And a lot of guys drop off for that very reason, because it's like, you're just a dude, there's not much to share. So there really isn't much physically for me to share anymore, except that I'm balding, of course. But I try to think of social and emotional and kind of mental things that I could vlog about, and things that I've noticed, and also just kind of, I don't know, give hope, give advice. Just like, it takes time. It takes time to be comfortable with yourself, and there are hard days, but it's overall a very good thing. So here I am talking about not going into tangents, and then I just went off on a huge one. Anyways, hope you all are well. Hope this made some kind of sense. Take care. Peace.